Alright, David Harry here, and this is one of my preliminary microphone tests. So basically, this is something where I am testing for a specific something. So this is not like, a finished video with narrative or something that's, being tested because I already know that it's going to produce a certain result that I'm going to be shown to people. This is the type of video or the type of testing that I do for myself. In order to find the results for something before I start putting them out on YouTube, or indeed just stuff that I'm kind of trying to teach myself about. So I'll do a whole bunch of testing. In the past, these are being called my preliminary tests. Wherever I had to put them, I used to have a separate channel for this type of stuff, and I do have a playlist as well on my channel for these things. So basically, if anyone comes across this video, or in fact in the future, I will start the videos with a title which will say something like mic testing, and then hyphen blah 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 blah, the blah 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 being whatever it is that I'm doing during the test. So if anyone sees something that says mic testing, if you're not like mega into mics and audio and stuff like that, don't bother watching the videos. They'll just bore you senseless. But for anybody who's into the mic stuff and the audio stuff, it might be worth watching these videos. Anyway, so with that being said, this is a test for something very specific. And what I'm testing for here are the differences between using a phantom powered preamplifier against just a phantom power unit. So right now I'm on my Saramonic SmartRig, and the Saramonic SmartRig is obviously a preamplifier with phantom power on. So right now what it is, I get my camera, set it to the lowest possible gain that it can do, and then I just do all the gaining from the Saramonic, because of course the camcorder has got a microphone input which is basically a preamplifier. So what you can't really do is use one preamplifier into another preamplifier. There's all kinds of a whole mess of things that can go on with that. If anyone's interested in such things, I can do a video on why you shouldn't do that. Anyway, so what you do, you just set the input gain for as low as you can on the camera or camcorder, whatever it is that you're using that has one of these little 3.5mm mic inputs on, and then you do the gaining from the preamplifier that's plugged into it. So of course then here the Saramonic is doing the powering to the microphone, and then also the gaining for the final level for the camera itself. Now the idea is I'm going to switch over in a second to just using a phantom power supply, which then means the camcorder has to do all the gaining. And what I'm going to be checking for with that is just to see what the differences are tonally with these things, because of course tone can change just through components and stuff. We're talking about analog circuitry here, so the tolerances and the variations from one device to another, even the same devices, actually same model, same range of things, can change a lot. So I'm listening for tonal differences. And probably more importantly here is does one way introduce more noise than the other and stuff like that. Anyway, so this was a clear indication of what the Saramonic was doing. So what I'm going to do now is flip over and just power the mic with a phantom power unit, and then I'll get the camcorder to do all of the gaining, and I'll explain a little bit more about the test. Okay, so I've now switched over to using the phantom power supply, which obviously means that the microphone's being powered, but then the camera is now doing all of the gaining. So whereas before with the Saramonic, the camera was on its lowest level, now the camera is kind of doing all the lifting here. So what I'm testing for are a couple of things. So maybe the first one is going to be, which thing is the best at doing the preamplification? Is that going to be the Saramonic, or is it going to be the camera? So this test will kind of give me that indication, because this is now the camera doing all of the legwork. That might become more evident when I do a bit of silence as well. And obviously as well, there will be a slight tonal change with this stuff, because in one instance I was going through the Saramonic, which had a whole bunch of its own components in there, and right now the thing that I'm going through, I think it's just one of those cheap little 48 volt power supplies, like the newer ones and stuff like that. Thing with those supplies, by the way, they're all pretty much much of a muchness with them, but nonetheless they will have completely different electronic components in. So any circuitry that audio has to go through, analog circuitry, it will imprint certain things within the audio, as in the characteristics that are going to be added by the circuitry itself. So that is another consideration. Does the tone change kind of like too far one way or another? So I mean, in the past, a lot of people would be using things like valve preamplifiers, and as for instance, a valve preamp is nothing but a harmonics distortion unit, really, but it does it in a pleasing way. So you definitely don't get a flat signal going in and out of something like that. But what would happen, people would use like specific types of preamps and things like that because they had a certain tone to them, which was pleasurable, should we say, which is part of the whole thing with analog stuff. It's down to taste and stuff usually with stuff like that. But nonetheless, there'll be changes going on here which are part of the circuitry and stuff. Anyways, this blurb I've been doing here will give me a really good idea as to what's going on with the sound right now. So what I'm going to do is alternate between the two microphones by cutting between some, I'm going to do nursery rhymes. So I'll do some nursery rhymes and then I'll have some silence after them. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. That's because Humpty Dumpty was a big fat idiot sitting precariously on a wall that he shouldn't have been sitting on. Okay, well that's going to conclude it then for this test. Now obviously I'm not going to do any kind of like summary here because this is something that I've got to listen back to. So what I've been recording here is something that I'm going to use to gauge and make certain decisions from. So no summary right now. Anyways, yeah, if anyone has come across the video, just bear a couple of things in mind here. There has been no tone control added to anything here. The only thing that I will have done is used a bit of limiting, and that will be realistically just to get a better balance between the two takes, so that on the output, the both of them sound as close as as close as I can get them, like level wise, or maybe more importantly, I've just banged the mic there. Maybe more importantly, energy wise. Because a lot of like your perceived volume comes through energy, so not all that like looking at peaks and stuff. It's a lot of stuff to do with like, the average energy with the inside, the actual audio that's being recorded and stuff. And being closer to a microphone allows for a lot more energy to be recorded as well. So yeah, basically the only thing that will have happened would have been some leveling between the two takes, so no EQ. So what I'm on here is by the way, the Cascade V57. So this will give people a really good idea as to what this microphone also sounds like, because I think this is a great microphone. Also, there will have been plosives going on during these recordings. It's just I've not got this in the best position just yet. I don't have the best type of filter for it. What it is, I have like this mesh filter on with this, because these mesh filters tend to do the least amount of damage to the tone. You put like big foam filters on, sure, they're great at reducing plosives because they stop all that wind. But what they're stopping is the movement of frequencies going through with the wind that they're blocking. Because don't forget, all the way we hear things is all just through collisions of air molecules, and when you knock out certain things like wind with like foam filters, it is knocking out a certain type of frequency while it's doing it, or it's impeding the types of frequencies which are associated within like the regions of frequency which might be occurring during the plosives and stuff. I mean, it's mostly to reduce the energy of the air but it will also reduce the energy within certain frequencies running through it as well. So as much as what, you know, foam filters definitely work, they massively, you know, alter tone and stuff like that. Anyway, that's boring. What I'm doing a specific test here and talking crap about foam filters. Yeah, so if anyone has seen this video, let me know in the comments what your thoughts have been on this as well anyway. And I think it'll come down to tone and maybe the hiss levels during like the hiss bit, as it were. Anyways, yeah, so if anyone does like this type of video, again, let me know in the comments if people would like me to put more of these types of things up, because I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I do to mess around with the microphones before I use them on things and stuff like that. Okay, I clearly talk too much. I just filled up the card on the camera then. That's why I cut off. Anyway, think I made my points all really clear there. So let me know in the comments, blah, blah, blah. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.